So much for your time. I am Pius Kojo Baka, and look now at our stories. Government has announced that it has saved about $8 billion in interest payments. This was after it concluded negotiations with the bilateral creditors and Eurobond holders this month. George Yafe has more.
Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam disclosed this at a town hall meeting in London. The minister announced that the government has now concluded negotiations with the bilateral creditors and Eurobond holders. The minister revealed that details of the agreement will be made public soon.
We are bringing the debt restructuring to an end. Last 2 weeks, we concluded negotiation with the official creditors, and we've agreed to restructure $5.1 billion. And I'm telling you, your government is good in negotiation. Of the $5.1 billion, we are going to make a savings of about $2 billion. As I speak to you, tomorrow morning, there will be an announcement that we have also concluded our negotiation with the Eurobond holders, $13.1 billion. And ladies and gentlemen, when we announce it, please read the details. We have negotiated a good deal for Ghana that will save us $8 billion. All this money we will no longer pay. We will have to use it well. And so the president has decided that we will create a special fund like we did with HIPIC.
Government first closed the deal on the restructure of about $5.4 billion with the bilateral creditors, but then followed that with the Eurobond holders of some $13.1 billion. Some analysts have argued that the deal with the Eurobond holders could go a long way to help deal with the recent sustained depreciation of the Ghana cedi in the coming days. This because some officials of the IMF and the Bank of Ghana had argued that it was this delay in reaching the deal with the Eurobond holders that had impacted negatively on the city's fortunes, despite recent developments in the economy. The news is coming at an interesting time, especially when the IMF board is set to meet in Ghana on the second program review this Friday. Some have argued that the board will go ahead and approve some $360 million to Ghana, based on how it has fared under the IMF program when it comes to the second review.
All right, so I would like to bring in the views of economists, who is also the director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Quartey, on this. Thanks so much, Professor Quartey, for agreeing to speak to us on Business Live. Now, following the announcement about the conclusion of the debt negotiation with the Eurobond holders, etc. Now, many are wondering what the impact of this would be to the economy. I want you to speak to us on that.
Good evening to your discerning viewers and listeners. This certainly will bring certainty, some relative certainty to the markets, to the minds of investors, to the minds of Ghanaians, because it's taken quite a long time to come this far. You don't know whether they will agree to the terms and what the terms will be, its impact on our investment, interest payment, etc. But now we are close to knowing exactly what the terms are. And I think that brings certainty to the market, and that can have some positive effects on the exchange rate and, by extension, inflation and inflation expectations. We can also see that there is going to be some savings. And with this amount of savings that is coming to government, it could be channeled into other more productive areas that will stimulate production, can stimulate growth and employment in the immediate term. We're also seeing, or we're going to also see that with the restructuring, it's going to free some resources, because if government has to pay the debt today or to pay this year, it means it has to find this money to pay interest and also service the debt in terms of capital repayments. But with this new agreement, certainly it has to reschedule and pay some later. And that is a good thing. It frees up resources for us to move forward. But we must set a caution that in as much as we have benefited from this restructuring, we've benefited from this savings, we should manage spending this carefully. We should not move again to the high debt distress situation we need to create a fund, because if your debt has been restructured, it doesn't mean it's been forgiven. It means you're going to pay in the immediate future. Therefore, we have to create a fund, a sinking fund, or whatever fund you call it.
An escrow account.
That regular payments, an escrow account, regular payments can be made so that when they are due, we are not caught hands down. We have money to service these debts.
I see. So let's talk about the productive sectors you mentioned that this savings should focus on. Help me understand, which specific segments are you looking at?
Oh, we can look at roads. We can look at agriculture. I mean, we've seen high prices of commodities on the market. So if we are going to help farmers with fertilizers, if we are going to help farmers with inputs, we are going to cocoa roads, we are going to provide access roads to farming areas. You know, the entire agricultural value chain. For me, the focus should be on agriculture, and also by extension, provide enabling environment for manufacturing or industry. But at this critical moment, agri should be our main focus, where we ensure that cheaper food items are on the market. Farmers are also able to get some resources or income to feed their families, and also to live a decent life.
All right. Now that we've been able to finish our debt negotiations, the major hurdle now is how we will be able to service those debts when indeed they are matured or the maturing dates are due. Do you think that we will be able to do that, and how will that affect the economy during that period?
Well, I think we should be able to. I mean, given the amount of savings, given our debt GDP ratio even now, we should be able to. What matters is that we channel this savings into productive activities, just like we saw under the EPIC program, where when we benefited from debt relief, we were made to channel some of these resources into poverty reduction areas. I think we can do that. But then the key point is that create a buffer, create an escrow account or a sinking fund where we make regular savings into these accounts. Once we have invested the monies and we are making returns, we are growing. The good thing is that the economy is growing at a fairly decent rate. So let's make some savings out of our income so that we can be able to finance these debts as they mature.
And Professor Quartey, ensuring fiscal prudence with the $8 billion savings after the conclusion of the debt restructuring process is what is key, as many have said, in achieving economic sustainability. Do you agree with that assertion?
Oh, certainly. Fiscal prudence is key. We need to spend within reasonable limits. That's why some have called for this fiscal responsibility law or act, where we spend a limited proportion of our GDP or income in terms of budget deficit. There is a clear target that we have to be reporting to Parliament. We have to ensure that we don't spend beyond reasonable limits. There's even a talk about having a cap on our debt, that once we hit 55% or 65% debt GDP ratio, we do not exceed that. So these are all things that we should do to ensure that we don't return to the dark old days where we have really exceeded the target and we have to face this painful debt exchange program.
Always a delight to have you on, Professor Peter Quartey, share your perspective with us on matters that has to do with the economy. Always a delight once again. Now, let's stay a while longer on this subject matter, because research lead at GCB Capital, Courage Buti, is cautioning government to ensure fiscal prudence with the $8 billion saving it has made after concluding the debt restructuring process. Now, according to him, government needs to entrench the reforms it is making and sustain the macroeconomic outlook in order to maintain the confidence of investors in the economy.
As to do similar things like we saw in 2004, 2005, there where a toilet is built up and we say there's HIPIC benefits. In fact, the savings from these monies, debt restructuring, I think should not be dissipated in projects to get names and all that and say, well, we could have paid maybe 10 million to, say, UK, now 10 million is going into this. We have a fiscal problem. We have a balance of payment deficit position that is quite difficult to close. And a number of other things on the PFM side that needs tackling and tackling properly. We have problem raising revenues and all that. And we have also debt service beginning to resume, because the moment we completed external debt, commercial debt restructuring, unlike the official one, the moment we complete external debt restructuring, I'm not hearing of moratorium. So 6 months on, we would have to start paying interest and all that. And of course, sustaining the macro outlook also, and then the investor sentiment in the local economy. So my suggestion would not be that these are not monies we even had sitting anyway. They were monies we should have paid that we suspended because we didn't have to start with. So it's not like it's even sitting in some account. You say that instead of paying interest, let's use it. And let's not go creating expenditures in the name of having 8 billion in savings. Think prudence from now on is what we need to do. Commitment control, avoiding arrears creation. We are in an election year. We need to avoid at all costs all the extra budgetary expenditures that could drive the fiscals out of gear again. And then even beyond program, how we can entrench the gains we are making and the reforms that are coming with this program. I think those are the critical things at this point, rather than creating assets or, if you like, infrastructure project and all of that, and title them savings from debt restructuring. I don't think that will serve our interest at this point. More so, we don't even have the money sitting in an account somewhere. We need to focus on sustaining debt sustainability going forward, being current on our payment. When we do that sustainably, we would have rebuilt the buffers required for interest rate to begin to decline.
You're still watching Business Live. We are back with more. Please stay. Welcome back to Business Live. Now, rural and community banks across the country are being offered a new platform by the Ghana Stock Exchange to use in raising additional capital to support the operations. The move is born out from the creation of the first official over-the-counter market by the Ghana Stock Exchange and the Securities and Exchange Commission for companies not listed on the bears to trade some shares. Now, speaking to Joy Business, Managing Director of the Exchange, Abina Moa, disclosed that the rural and community banks will also have the opportunity to improve transparency to their shareholders through the new platform.
We think that if we do this, their shareholders will be able to see what is the price of our share. They'll be able to see investor appetite, other investors who have appetite to buy the shares. They'll be able to, those who want to buy more will know where to go to buy more, because it will all be transparent. But importantly, by organizing them, we think the rural banks themselves can now have a market where they can raise additional capital. Many of them need additional capital. So using our more organized market, they'll be able to reach a wider range of investors, raise more capital, and serve the purposes of our communities and rural institutions that are trying to grow. Again, the GSE provides a very important governance framework for these banks. So as they come to the GSE, we think some of the best practices of governance, stronger governance that ensures growth and sustainability of the business, will come to rub off on many of these companies. So our hope is to organize this market, let investors benefit, but also let the companies benefit, and essentially the ultimate beneficiary is our communities, it's our SMEs, it's all Ghana who will benefit from this platform.
You're still watching Business Live. Now, Deloitte West Africa is empowering corporate organizations to take the culture of whistleblowing seriously. According to the leading professional services firm, having a good ethical practice is a key factor in ensuring the smooth operations of businesses. Now, to this end, the firm will tomorrow, June 25, hold the Deloitte Tip-Off's Anonymous Whistleblowing webinar. Now, this is to commemorate the International Day of Whistleblowers and reiterate the value of creating effective whistleblowing platforms in every organization. Joining us on Zoom to do some analysis on this or conversation on that is Assistant Manager of Risk Advisory at Deloitte, Monita Debbie. Thanks so much, Monita. And why should we organizations take the culture of whistleblowing seriously, as you rightly mentioned?
Hi, thank you for having me. It's very essential to have a whistleblowing platform within organizations, because it helps boost the ethical climate within your organizations. It helps, safeguard assets. It helps reduce revenue leakages. It helps to build trust in your employees. And when your employees are happy, they increases their productivity. It helps, reduce the leakages as said. And in the long term, you're happy, your customers are happy, and you make more revenue and generate more for the organization. So it's very important to set up a speak up platform within your organizations just to boost the ethical climate within the organization. Thank you.
Again, do you think that the culture of silence, shaming, and of course retaliation has discouraged people, especially employees, from speaking up when they notice unethical and illegal practice in the organizations? Do you share that?
Definitely, absolutely. It has definitely, silenced individuals because they fear that when they report an issue, there will be some form of retaliation or victimization. If you're reporting something against your line manager, they may think that they may either be demoted or worst case, sacked from the organization. So it's very important to have these platforms in place which provide some form of safeguards to you, the whistleblower, to have the comfort and confidence reporting issues and providing different anonymity channels as such.
In a minute, what should we expect tomorrow?
Exciting interaction, exciting communications on what is the elements of whistleblowing channels, what to have in mind in reporting issues, the safeguards to have in place, and so much more. It's going to be an exciting one.
All right, thank you so much, Debbie, for speaking to us. We shall look forward to that. That's it for the bulletin for today. I am Pius Kojo Baka. For more stories, feel free. myjoyonline.com/business is there for you. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye.